Hello. I am Frio Translation Tool here. Today I will discuss the topic of Tartaria and Nikola Tesla's technology, although Tesla was born after the fall of Tartaria. It is said that Tesla is the man who created the basic foundational technology for the 20th century, to step into the new world order. The question is, was there technology like Nikola Tesla's before and immediately after the fall of Tartaria? There will be several questions related to the above question. For example, a conspiracy theory question is Nikola Tesla recreating the technology that existed in the Tartaria period? That is a difficult question when the remaining evidence has been lost due to the destruction of the great power after the establishment of the New World Order. The two questions are not exactly the same, but they are related at the core, that is, there is a huge archive of books somewhere after the fall of Tartaria. Or another intelligence confronts Tartaria. It is an electric creature that opposes the electric creature that helped Solomon build the Tartarian civilization. This electric creature can now be AI, and objects at the level of reality or an abstract level higher than AI, artificial intelligence. This level is called electric creature. This electric creature is mentioned in David Ewing Jr.'s book, and David Ewing Jr. himself quotes from the Quran. And if we solve the first question, and the related questions, we will begin to approach the technology of teleportation and wingless flight. The technology of flying saucers and the light body technique of ancient Chinese knights are the technology of flight without wings. The knights were said to be the knights of the order who came to fight against the Catholic Church and the Jesuits. Later, the monks and Jesuits changed during the Qing dynasty of China. This is just a suspicion mentioned in the video Secret 33 Degrees of this Overunity channel. Now I go into the main content of the problem, that is, to find the answer to the original question. Before, my father in Vietnam once told that when the high-ranking generals of the Japanese fascists came to Vietnam, they used a sword to stick into the ground, and pulled out a device to connect to the sword. Then they communicated like a wireless phone, which is similar to today's mobile phones. According to my research, this is the wireless telephone technology invented by Nathan Stubblefield in 1886. Nathan Stubblefield's invention in 1886 said that a metal rod needed to be inserted into the ground to be able to transmit and receive signals from the other side with a similar structure. The metal rod in Nathan Stubblefield's invention was replaced by a sword. Thus, if there are two people using two swords at a distance, they can talk to each other in the true sense of a mobile phone. Later, Nikola Tesla was considered the inventor of radio technology, and also the person who contributed to the development of today's telephone technology. Because today's telephone system is actually an evolution of radio technology. When reviewing and comparing Nathan Stubblefield's technology and Nikola Tesla's technology, I found that they both used ground current, telluric, and above is the virtual ground of the circuit. The transmission of information must be based on Faraday tubes, penetrating matter and space to establish tension. This establishment creates conditions for the mutual inductance process of the system. The signal is transmitted as a longitudinal radiation on the dielectric, which counterspaces the place where the dielectric lives. The speed of the signal transmission is actually the delay of the elastic ether field, and its speed is many times faster than light, that is, almost instantaneous. Later, Tesla's technology also developed a type of ether disturbance based on the polarization changing with frequency, pushing the Faraday tubes horizontally. This is the radio wave for old TVs using horizontal antennas to receive. This type of antenna was very popular in the 90s of the last century. This is a horizontal electromagnetic type, not a vertical electromagnetic type. Currently, radio technology for phones uses longitudinal waves to penetrate many walls. Tesla's wireless technology 1. With the development of the double-stranded circuit, the Tesla transformer, the magnifying transmitter, and the Tesla Wardenclyffe tower for wireless power transmission. The essence of wireless transmission is the transmission of a type of electricity called cold electricity that I mentioned in the previous video. This type of electricity is considered free energy, because the power of the receiver does not depend on the number of electric receivers. Thus, Tesla's technology for wireless signal transmission was later than that of Nathan Stubblefield. Tesla started in 1891, and Nathan Stubblefield already knew that the ether allowed the transmission of longitudinal radiation faster than the speed of light. It is possible that two different scientists understood the same problem, and even invented a similar patent. This led to some laws that were named after both scientists. But both of these scientists understood the ether in the same way, while there is no record of Nathan Stubblefield and Nikola Tesla attending the same school. So where did they get this common view? I think there was a period in the early 19th century when there was an educational program for privileged nations. It was education funded by England, Holland, France. It was science seeking truth. Then this educational program was cut. It is like the early 19th century until the 20th century when England and its allies funded the dissemination of the Quran in Arabic. Ether physics was used by mathematicians to develop technology until 1930. The Quran was promoted in Arabic by those who seemed to be in charge of establishing the New World Order. Why is the Quran a historical document containing the truth? And why does ether physics describe the true nature of physical reality? Why do powerful forces invest in spreading the truth and cancel it? This is a matter for serious research. I will not answer these open questions here. So, with the above facts, we can only confirm that Nikola Tesla and Nathan Stubblefield had the same special education program, meaning they were in the same academics at that time. Now we need evidence of ether technology before 1888, and of the same nature as Tesla's technology. Fact 1. The sword is said to be from the 14th century, shaped like a cross, like the cross of the crucifixion of Jesus. Giant swords of Hungarian origin dating back to the 14th century are currently on display at the Topkapi Palace Museum in Istanbul. The sword is 270 centimeters long. The hilt has a hole. It could be used to attach an electric wire. This suggests a possibility that the sword in Hungary was a wireless phone transmitter. It is similar to the sword used by Japanese generals stationed in Vietnam for wireless communication, but that is just a suspicion as no archaeological phones have been found in Hungary. It is possible that it was a knight's sword, and the knight's body itself transmitted the signal like a phone. That person had the ability to emit special abilities, or emit electricity to knock down opponents. Emitting electricity, or flying in the air like a skill, is often seen in movies about ancient Chinese warriors. This is recorded in many Chinese martial arts novels in the late Qing dynasty. As I said, ancient Chinese martial arts novels recorded the plots of the Knights Templar. That is how they plagiarized to hide history. Fact 2. The Eiffel had been built in 1889. But some photos show that it was built before that. At that time, people still did not know what the Eiffel Tower was built for. Many people hated this tower. Some photos show that the Eiffel Tower originally had 3 towers, but after the fair, it only had 1 tower as it is now. This tower has a structure on the top of the tower that looks like a sword to receive and transmit signals. Thus, it is possible that it is a device for transmitting wireless news over long distances. According to Tesla's technology, ether electricity technology, with this tower, it can transmit and receive longitudinal electromagnetic waves to communicate around the world. People with swords connected to signal receiving devices can communicate, provided that the sword is planted deep enough into the ground. This may explain the suspicion: there are no artificial satellites in the world. They all use this virtual ground technology. Electromagnetic longitudinal radiation, that is, the longitudinal electromagnetic field, in experiments it is almost harmless to the body. It only affects molecules at the targeted level of gene editing and causes fatigue, like a pandemic. Basically, at the circuit that generates this signal, cold electricity is born. This type of electricity seems benign, does not cause shock. But this radiation, if used properly, is a tool to edit space. In Eric Dollar's ether physics, space is established by dielectrics and magnets. Electricity can edit space. The Tunguska explosion is like space collapsing into a sudden vacuum. Eric Dollar is an RCA-trained person, considered Tesla 2.0. His book is in my Overunity electricity blog. These types of towers, which can be connected to other towers, and the lighthouse. They can be devices that contribute to the creation of the mud flood that covers Tartaria as we know it. In Hanoi, Vietnam, some old photos show that the Hanoi Flag Tower also plays a role in connecting such large columns in the world. The Hanoi Flag Tower is also known as the Hanoi Feudal Watchtower. The special thing is that the Hanoi Flag Tower dates back to 1812. At that time, Western countries had entered Vietnam. The kings of Vietnam under the Nguyen dynasty seem to have colluded with the West, Portugal, and France. But Vietnamese history does not clearly explain this. According to my assessment based on European maps, such columns were created before 1800. Otherwise, this is inconsistent with the mud flood and the information on the map. These columns are called feudal watchtowers in Asia. There have been signs of weapons believed to be nuclear weapons creating the Great Lakes around the world and in Russia, and there are many signs of weather weapons that made the years 1815 to 1816 cold. The terrible freeze that began in 1816 and lasted for about 3 years mainly affected Europe and North America and the US. The winter that lasted through spring and into the summer of April could bring little or no sunshine across the entire continent. 2 major blizzards occurred in the world at the height of summer in June, July and August. The temperatures were so cold that rivers often froze overnight. Snowfall was so frequent that one night more than a meter of snow was recorded in New York. A similar situation occurred in Europe, with Germany experiencing severe storms throughout the summer. Many rivers, including the banks of the Rainbow River, were similar to those in Switzerland. Each new month brought more snow and less summer sunshine. As a result, crops failed, grain prices in Europe increased tenfold, leading to famine and the loss of life of about 10,000 people, which historians attribute to the volcanic eruption. Fact 3. Electric existed before Nikola Tesla invented the induction motor by proving his principle in 1887. Before that, according to official history, induction motors began in 1924. There is not much information about the development process from Wikipedia. On the other hand, electric vehicles must have induction motors to operate. And electric vehicles began in 1830. According to official history, Hungary, the Netherlands and the United Kingdom around the 1830s began with experimental prototypes. Thus, there are signs that there was a scientific theory used to train a group of people in Europe, including Nikola Tesla. The only additional suspicious point is that Nikola Tesla's father was a priest, like the Jesuits. According to research on Tartaria, it was the Jesuits who participated in the resistance and overthrow of Tartaria. Final words and conclusion to the question. Currently, the weather control technologies are believed to be the ether technology of Nikola Tesla and Wilhelm Reich. If you can find evidence to prove that, before 1888, this mysterious technology existed, then you can affirm that Nikola Tesla relearned or rewrote the old inventions. There are actually many other evidences to prove, but the important thing is to use the method of comparison and contrast. Since most of the important papers of the Tartarian Empire were burned by the Jesuits and their allies, I tend to compare weather control technologies several hundred years apart as a more feasible option. A final note. There is a possibility that Nikola Tesla did not actually invent the technologies with several hundred patents as we know. However, this statement still needs to be verified. The buildings of the Tartarian Empire often have antennas on the roofs. It could be a device like an antenna to communicate with other houses, or to contact people holding swords coming out of the house. However, the tall towers, which are only for antennas, are communication devices to manage the colonies that the colonial countries invaded. Furthermore, the tall masts could play a role in creating the Tartarian mudslide. At the very least, this device would explode some places, causing landslides where there is mud, and bring large floods to the places that need to be covered. Some lakes in Russia may have been seas before, then turned into salt lakes, also due to the technology of moving mountains and filling the land with mud. All of the above events need to be investigated further. I only mention it at the research level as a non-historical person. I just usually study electrical technology and find what is lost in science. There are many other facts and evidences for the problem, but I have not mentioned them here. For more accurate research clues, I recommend you to read the books of David Ewing Jr. and Dr. Anatoly T. Fomenko. There are two very good books that David Ewing Jr. wrote very carefully recently: Secrets of the 33 Degrees and Secrets of the Kabbalah. Dr. Anatoly T. Fomenko's books are on my blog. Many people want to find historical truth, but they wait for the times to change, and wait for the government education program to tell them the truth. It is possible, but the possibility is very low. Because there is a few hundred years of agenda that is manipulating the course of our history. That is why writer Susan Ertz said, "Millions long for immortality who don't know what to do on a rainy Sunday afternoon." Those are the people who are eager to find the truth, but they often wait. So, look for clues and investigation methods from. Watch the secret video 33 Degrees talking about that saying. That's the end of the discussion. Thank you for watching. Goodbye and see you again. Good luck to you.